Thank you for joining us today as we discuss diversity and the board. We know that 1 in 3 Canadians are a visible minority or Indigenous, so we recognize that homogeneous boards are at risk of having blind spots. Boards that lack diversity can't operate to their full potential and may not make the best decisions for the organization. So we hope that you will find some of these concepts and strategies useful within your board. This content is designed for informational purposes and should not be a substitute for professional advice. Let's get started talking about some definitions. Diversity includes all the ways people differ, encompassing the different characteristics that make one individual or group different from another. While diversity is often used in reference to race, ethnicity, and gender, we will embrace a broader definition of diversity that includes age, religion, sexual orientation, language, physical appearance, and much more. Equity is the fair treatment, access, and opportunity, and advancement for all people, while at the same time striving to identify and eliminate barriers that prevent the full participation of some groups. Improving equity involves increasing justice and fairness within all the procedures and processes of our organizations. Inclusion is the act of creating environments in which any individual or group feels welcomed, respected, supported, and valued to fully participate. The difference really is that diversity is a state, it's your makeup. Diversity refers to a wide range of characteristics, both visible and invisible on the board, whereas equity and inclusion are a set of behaviors that can be governed. Equity and inclusivity are to be practiced within the organization. We see a significant shift in population, and all indicators show that this trend will continue. These questions are designed to stimulate you to think about how your organization approaches diversity, inclusivity, and equity. Is your organization's reputation being negatively or positively impacted by your board's current composition? If someone made assumptions about your organizational values based on board composition, what would they be thinking? If you were to make a deeper commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, what would that mean to your mission, your work, and the people that you serve? If board members all think, look, and act the same way, an organization can be missing out on the benefits of divergent and convergent thinking when decisions are made. Divergent thinkers use imagination to find new opportunities and they look for solutions. Convergent thinkers use logic when analyzing options, and it's really important that boards have both divergent and convergent thinkers within the organization. Personal bias may be limiting the number of convergent and divergent thinkers serving your organization. A bias often reflects a lack of information, a lack of understanding, or a lack of appreciation for factors outside the normal pattern of thought. We all have these. Naturally, our brains work with what we're familiar with. We select like-minded people to fill board positions, but ensure personal bias is not limiting your considerations. There may be a producer in the industry who has not yet had an opportunity to showcase his or her board strength. Maybe there's a new immigrant farmer who could bring an international perspective to your board operations. If you do not belong to an ethnically diverse board, set your bias aside and challenge the norm. It wasn't that long ago that only men served in the role of chairperson. We see many examples of women successfully leading high-profile organizations now. In addition to gender, you will want to consider ethnicity, age, and experience diversity. Let's spend some time talking about generational diversity. For the first time, we have 4 generations working together at home, in the workplace, and within agriculture organizations. This has a number of implications for work and family life. Each day we encounter and interact with individuals who may have different generational perspectives than we do. There are many benefits to multi-generational groups. It can lead to great learning and mentoring opportunities. Diversity of skill, knowledge, and experience can bring positive things to boards. They can become strong, productive, and successful organizations. On the flip side, sometimes having multi-generations working together can negatively affect the dynamics of the group and result in communication breakdown, a lack of understanding, or even frustration. To truly understand how we can overcome the challenges and work successfully with individuals of other generations, we need to understand who the generations are, where they come from, and what they've experienced in their formative years, as that affects their perspective. Finally, it's also important to understand other perspectives in order to increase your leadership capacity. The generations are most commonly labeled as traditionalists, baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and I-millennials. Research shows that individuals develop their perspectives between birth and age 20. The experiences of one's teenage years have the greatest impact on their forming their values and beliefs. These experiences are based on economic condition, national mood, technology, headlines, and heroes of the time. Because generations share a place in history, they tend to develop their own unique generational personalities. As we learn more about each generation, you'll find yourself identifying with one or more of these generations. It may not be the one linked to your birth year. Then there are the Cuspers, those individuals who are on the cusp of two generations. They could share the characteristics of both generations or strongly agree with one or the other. Please keep in mind that these titles are generalizations made about individuals born within a specific time period. A person's generational personality can also be affected by their environment, unique life skills, and their individual personality. Traditionalists lived through the Great Depression and World Wars. They experienced financial difficulties and experienced rationing. They learned to work hard and never give up, and to save for a rainy day. Because of these experiences, traditionalists have a strong work ethic. They believe that work comes before play, follow a chain of command, and have strong respect for authority. They are private people who prefer formal, written communication.
Baby boomers experienced a changing society and were given opportunities their parents did not have. Televisions came into their homes, which allowed them to watch history unfold in their living rooms. They saw the first man walk on the moon. This group is optimistic. They were part of the booming post-war economy, which gave them a sense that anything was possible. They were taught to be loyal and work hard, and that financial success was earned. Technology changed everything for Gen Xers. They saw the introduction of cable and satellite TV, VCRs, video games, microwaves, pagers, and the biggest was the personal computer. They had access to techno gadgets. But because of this technology, they pushed their parents out of jobs. Gen Xers were forced to question why they would be loyal to workplaces and companies. They saw the divorce rates triple and therefore believed that they needed to depend on themselves. Then there are the Millennials, also known as Gen Y. They experience globalization and customize their experiences and their devices, and this allows Millennials to connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime. As a result, they require things to happen in an instant. This generation is perceived to be the most educated generation because humanity today generates more data in 2 days than it produced in all of history up to the year 2003. Millennials were born between 1996 and 2015, so they're 5 to 24 years of age. Some are just entering the workforce. So why should you consider asking a Gen Z to serve on your board? Many have post-secondary education. They're entering the workforce and seeking new opportunities. They're highly motivated, and they have different perspectives, views, and ideas. Exceptional use of technology, and can identify gaps, assumptions, or areas of weakness within your organization. Gen Z, for short, also known as Millennials or Zoomers, are the demographic cohort preceding Generation Alpha. Can anyone think of another name for the next generation? Some joke it may be COVID, pandemic, or isolation. Each generation has a very different perspective based on life experiences. Therefore, it can be easy to make assumptions about others without considering their unique qualities and characteristics as an individual. That leads us to the misconceptions and stereotypes. While each generation does develop a kind of collective identity, generational stereotypes are labels. It's much more helpful to view all generations as a complex group made up of people of all kinds of values, goals, and viewpoints. Traditionalists or seniors are perceived as old-fashioned, behind the times, rigid, autocratic, as well as change and risk-adverse. Baby boomers are considered self-centered, unrealistic, power-driven workaholics that talk the talk but don't walk the walk. Gen Xers are stereotyped as slackers, selfish, impatient, and cynical. Millennials or Gen Yers are stereotyped as having short attention spans, being spoiled, disrespectful, and technology dependent. We can now appreciate that generations have different value systems based on life experiences. No one generation is right or wrong. Both sides need to be understanding and willing to flex. Generations are most likely to clash over feedback and communication styles, work processes and use of technology, work motivation and rewards, business etiquette, dress and grooming, authority, leadership, and hierarchy, as well as views on what is respectful behavior. Unfortunately, not everyone will fit neatly into a generational category. Communicating with other generations can feel challenging. When communicating with others, you need to identify which generational personality you're communicating with and then adapt to use their preferred style in an effort to have your message positively received. Communication is less about the words and more about the message that is sent. This includes the mode of communication, tone, body language, and timeliness. They all affect the other person's perception of the message. Let's take a look at the generation's preferred communication styles. Traditionalists are motivated by accomplishment, control, and responsibility. Traditionalists prefer top-down communication. They trust and respect the authority. Traditionalists have institutional wisdom and experience. Many are interested in learning more about technology, so be patient with them while you teach them. They are most comfortable with face-to-face or formal written communication, and they are very aware of grammar and spelling. Traditionalists would send a thank you note to express their appreciation to someone else. When communicating with boomers, be specific and direct. They want a boss who's interested and will listen to them. They like to work in a team. Boomers believe that you have to work hard and pay your dues. They're motivated by money, recognition, control, and promotion. If they were thanking a volunteer, baby boomers would typically make a phone call. Gen Xers are the beginning of the shift to a more flexible workplace. They hate to be micromanaged. Give them the freedom to do what needs to be done to get the job complete. Gen Xers work for people, not the company. They want instant feedback and gratification. Gen Xers are pragmatic and they believe that every problem has a solution. You just have to figure it out. When communicating with a Gen Xer, be brief, ask for their perspective, speak informally and listen carefully, and use technology to communicate with them. If they were thanking another board member or volunteer, they would definitely send an email. Millennials, or Gen Ys, are motivated by recognition, time off, training, and meeting personal objectives. They communicate using electronics, email, social media, text message, and they would rarely make a phone call. They would thank another volunteer or board member by sending a text, and they prefer to receive a text message from other board members. So it's all about working together. As we work with other generations and with people of other cultures, it takes practice, patience, and understanding, as well as an open mind to work together successfully. Be sure to explain your perspective, listen to others, and ask probing questions. Compromise and collaborate with them. Recognize differences and similarities, and build relationships with other individuals on the board. Regardless of age or experience, always seek common ground and have a clear purpose. Has the organization you represent expressed an interest and a commitment to diversity, inclusivity, and equity? These are some strategies to increase your diversity within the board. Develop some policies, and they may be board or staff or vendor diversity policies. Offer mentorship programs. Talk about diversity and inclusion committees. Offer training, could be cultural competence or cross-cultural understanding. Have flexible work arrangements. Build internal and external partnerships. Promote a change in culture and systemic barriers. Offer pay equity initiatives, diversity group initiatives. SAS Culture has some great information on how to build inclusivity within your organization. If your organization has acknowledged the value of inclusion, you may consider the following steps. Assess your organization's current state. Nurture a culturally diverse board. Take the bias out of recruitment and hiring. Build and maintain a culturally diverse workforce. Ensure inclusion policies are in place. Learn about other cultures within your community and organization or industry. Reach out to diverse groups. Strive to end racism. And evaluate your progress as you take steps. When organizations make a commitment to transformative change and learning, we see positive outcomes related to enhanced diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some of the outcomes are that boards make better decisions, they're more innovative, they exhibit resilience, they have greater employee retention and engagement, they outperform those with less diversity, they're more respectful and thoughtful towards others. It helps to eliminate racism, it builds a talented workforce, enhances moral and ethical awareness, increases communication within the board, and it supports basic human rights.
How diverse is your board, and what will you do now to improve diversity, equity, and inclusivity? Visit the Industry Leadership webpage on board member recruitment for suggestions, links, and a number of resources. This fact sheet, Board Development, Building Board Diversity, is available from Alberta Culture and Community Spirits website. Board development, building boards, recruiting, and developing effective board members for nonprofit organizations is a workbook developed by Alberta Culture and Community Spirit in conjunction with the Mootart Foundation, and it's an excellent resource. This link to Governing Goods fact sheet, your board recruitment package, will be very helpful. This fact sheet, Youth and Board Governance, is available on the Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development Industry Leadership website. Volunteer Canada's Screening Handbook suggests that screening plays a critical role in moral, legal, ethical responsibilities of an organization. Check out this resource for more information. If your organization is looking to recruit Indigenous people, this resource will be very useful. Stay connected with us. Send us your emails or questions to leadership@gov.mb.ca. And of course, make time to visit our Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development Industry Leadership webpage. You will find a number of resources, including fact sheets, worksheets, templates, and guidebooks that will strengthen your organization.